better tell.
I won't. I won't. You let me go.
No, you don't. You're coming with me.
I am not. I am not.
Old Hollywood is famous for its glamour, red carpets, diamonds, and fancy cars. But behind the sparkle was a darker world. Ruthless studios, exploitative parents, and childhood hardships haunted many stars before they even reached fame. In this video, we uncover the most tragic and shocking moments from their lives.
Aren't you forgetting that you're married?
I'm doing my best.
Judy Garland's Hardship on The Wizard of Oz. Judy Garland, one of old Hollywood's most beloved stars, skyrocketed to fame with The Wizard of Oz. Yet, behind the magic of Oz, her experience was far from magical. Despite being the film's lead, Garland endured harsh treatment from the studio. She was forced to wear a restrictive corset and bind her chest to appear younger, constantly criticized for her weight, and kept on an extremely strict diet. On top of that, she was given barbiturates and amphetamines to endure the exhausting shooting schedule. While she had already used some of these drugs before filming, the studio's demands intensified her dependence, a struggle that would shadow her for the rest of her life. The grueling work didn't stop with Oz. In interviews for the book The Life and Times of Mickey Rooney, Garland revealed to biographer Paul Donnelly the brutal realities at MGM. They had us, Mickey and Judy, working days and nights on end. They'd give us pills to keep us on our feet long after we were exhausted. Then they'd take us to the studio hospital and knock us out with sleeping pills. Lana Turner's tragic family drama. Lana Turner appeared to have a glamorous life in old Hollywood. She was a celebrated actress, dated stars like Frank Sinatra, Artie Shaw, and reportedly Clark Gable, and lived in wealth and beauty. But behind the scenes, life was far from perfect. In 1958, Turner was dating Johnny Stompanato, a member of a Los Angeles crime family who was physically abusive throughout their relationship. Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, witnessed much of this mistreatment. In early April of that year, Turner and Stompanato reportedly got into a violent argument. Fearing for her mother's life, Crane brought a knife into the room, and Stompanato walked into it, dying as a result. His death was ruled a justifiable homicide, but the incident left a lasting impact on Crane, who spent significant time receiving psychiatric care afterward. The event also affected the mother-daughter relationship. As Casey Sherman, author of A Murder in Hollywood, the untold story of Tinseltown's most shocking crime, told people, "I think that their relationship ebbed and flowed, like many relationships between parents and their children, although this sensational story was kind of hanging around their necks, so to speak." Greta Garbo and Hollywood's cruel standards. Greta Garbo, a Swedish sensation, brought her remarkable talent to the United States, but not everyone welcomed her warmly. As silent film expert Pamela Hutchinson told The Guardian, Louis B. Mayer hired her for MGM in 1925, when she was already a success in Europe, with the caveat that what in America, we don't like fat women. In response, Garbo ate nothing but spinach for 3 weeks and maintained a strict diet throughout her Hollywood career. The scrutiny over her weight and her extreme dieting has contributed to decades-long discussions about Hollywood's physical expectations for women. According to Lois W. Banner, author of Ideal Beauty, The Life and Times of Greta Garbo, the pressure deeply affected Garbo. Banner explained to Closer, "She chain-smoked from the age of 17 and suffered from anorexia nervosa. Hollywood stars were required to be thin, but Garbo had a broad, muscular body. She had several breakdowns when she lost too much weight." Garbo never publicly addressed these struggles, but they remain a tragic part of her life story. Rita Hayworth and her struggle with Alzheimer's. Rita Hayworth, a symbol of old Hollywood glamour and considered one of the most beautiful women of her time, built a career on her looks and talent. Yet, the final years of her life were far from glamorous. In the 1970s, Hayworth's youngest daughter, Princess Yasmin Aga Khan, noticed troubling changes in her mother. Hayworth experienced memory loss, mood swings, and other symptoms, which were initially blamed on alcoholism. In the early 1980s, she was finally diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a condition still poorly understood at the time, making her struggle even more difficult. Before the diagnosis, Yasmin lived in New York while Hayworth was in Los Angeles, making caregiving extremely challenging. Khan recalled to the Alzheimer's Association, "Her doctors weren't in communication with me, and her lawyers had to handle affairs on her behalf. I really felt helpless. It was very upsetting." Eventually, Khan gained conservatorship and moved her mother to New York. Despite these efforts, Hayworth continued to battle both her body and mind until her death in 1987. Jayne Mansfield's early loss. Jayne Mansfield faced tragedy early in life. At just 3 years old, she lost her father to a heart attack, a loss that left a lasting mark on her childhood. Reflecting on it later, Mansfield said, "Something went out of my life. My earliest memories are the best. I always try to remember the good times when Daddy was alive." According to biography, while the rest of her childhood was relatively happy, more hardships awaited. While still in high school, Mansfield married her first husband, and the couple moved to Los Angeles so she could pursue a career in entertainment. Though the path was difficult at first, she eventually found success on screen. Her personal life, however, was less fortunate. After divorcing her first husband, she married 2 more times. Her second husband was reportedly abusive. Tragically, shortly after separating from her third husband, Mansfield died in a horrific car accident at just 34 years old. Mae West's jail time for a bold performance. Mae West, a true old Hollywood icon, rose to fame during a time when social norms in the United States often clashed with her daring persona. Known as a blonde bombshell, West wrote and performed works that were sensual and provocative, and she took pride in her bold performances. In 1927, before her film career began, West wrote and starred in the Broadway play Stunts, portraying a worker. The show drew large audiences eager to see her performance, but it also attracted strong criticism. The play led to West being arrested on charges of obscenity and corrupting the morals of youth. At her court hearing, West was sentenced to 10 days in a work camp. She made the most of the experience and was released 2 days early for good behavior. Far from derailing her career, the arrest and ensuing publicity helped launch West into Hollywood stardom, proving her ability to turn controversy into success. Marilyn Monroe's difficult childhood. Many old Hollywood stars faced tragic lives, but few were as publicly scrutinized as Marilyn Monroe. From a young age, Monroe experienced hardship that foreshadowed the difficulties of her adult life. She grew up without a father and spent her first several years living in foster care. Even while in foster homes, she regularly visited her mother, and at the age of 7, she moved out of foster care to live with her. The arrangement, however, was far from stable. Monroe's mother struggled with mental illness, which had been evident for years, putting a serious strain on their relationship and making life at home very challenging. While Monroe was still a child, her mother was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and hospitalized, leaving young Marilyn to move between foster homes and an orphanage. She didn't find relative stability until her teenage years. Reflecting on her upbringing, Monroe told Life magazine, "I was never used to being happy, so that wasn't something I ever took for granted. You see, I was brought up differently from the average American child because the average child is brought up expecting to be happy." Elizabeth Taylor's loss of true love. Elizabeth Taylor, known as much for her 7 marriages as for her acting, winning 2 Oscars along the way, experienced a tragedy that would forever change her life. In 1958, her third husband, Mike Todd, whom she later called her true love, died in a plane crash. This devastating loss shook Taylor to her core. She admitted, "I honestly didn't think I would survive and didn't much care if I did not," according to Closer. Struggling with grief, Taylor found comfort in Eddie Fisher, a friend of both her and Todd. At the time, Fisher was married to Debbie Reynolds, also a friend of Taylor. Their affair eventually ended Fisher and Reynolds' marriage. Taylor went on to marry Fisher, though the marriage didn't last, and later married 4 more times, including twice to Richard Burton. Todd's untimely death so early in their marriage shaped the path of her personal life and altered everything that came after. Shirley Temple's lost fortune. Shirley Temple began her Hollywood career at a very young age. Before turning 10, she had already starred in over 40 films, and studios adored her. At the peak of her fame, she earned $10,000 a week and was celebrated with elaborate birthday parties each year. With that kind of income, even a single year's work could have secured her financial future for life, if the money had been wisely managed. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. By the time she was 22, Temple checked her bank account and discovered she had only $40,000 left. While not a trivial sum, it was far less than expected given how much she had earned as a child. According to John Casson, author of The Little Girl Who Fought the Great Depression, Shirley Temple, and 1930s America, 97 cents of every dollar she made was gone. The loss was largely due to her father, who had managed her finances. Poor decisions, family expenses, and the purchase of a larger house had drained her fortune. Still, Temple did not blame him entirely, believing he had been badly advised. As Casson explained, no doubt they also bought a bigger house and used it on family expenses. But Shirley didn't blame him. She thought he was badly advised. Sophia Loren's childhood of poverty. Sophia Loren, one of Italy's most legendary actresses, became a symbol of glamour in old Hollywood, but her early life was far from luxurious. Born in Italy to an unmarried mother, Loren grew up in extreme poverty. She recalled in her memoir, Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow, My Life, via the Irish Examiner, "Hunger was the major theme of my childhood. My mother was begging for food for us. She'd bring us back a potato, a fistful of rice." Her relationship with her parents was also complicated. Her father did not claim her at birth, and her mother, who had hoped to become a star herself, struggled to raise 2 children on her own. Loren added, "My father was absent, and my mother was too blonde, too tall, too lively, and above all, unmarried. Her eccentric, excessive beauty embarrassed me." Despite these hardships, Loren rose to international fame, proving that even the harshest beginnings could lead to Hollywood stardom. These stories show that behind the glamour of old Hollywood, many stars faced incredible struggles. From dangerous stunts to personal tragedies, their lives were far more complicated than the silver screen made them seem.